Hello, my name is Matthias and welcome to the FPL Scope and my Game Week 21 review where I go through my team for Game Week 21, and I'm also going to have a little bit of a look for Game Week 22 as well. But most of my thoughts for Game Week 22 will be in my team selection video closer to the deadline, which is Tuesday, which is about a week from now as I'm recording this video. So a lot of things can happen between now and then, especially with the FA Cup results. The League Cup just finished now, Liverpool are through and Chelsea are through. So they are both blanking in Game Week 26 along with Spurs and Luton. Most likely we'll only get Liverpool doubling in that double game week fixture in 25 along with Luton on top of the already confirmed double game week that we have with Man City and Brentford. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's go through what happened in Game Week 21 and the trials and tribulations of that game week, because there was quite a bit of things happening in Game Week 21, which has been a really long game week as well, that has lasted for so long, and we're still waiting so long for the next deadline as well. So it's been a pretty arduous process, and I haven't really put out that much content throughout the weeks or the 2 weeks that we've had this Game Week 21. And partly that's down to me going to London. I went to visit my friend Kevin, who's obviously my co-host on the FPL School podcast. Had a really fun time in London, and now I'm back, and there's not really too much to talk about just yet because there's going to be so much things happening. But yeah, I figured I could do a review for Game Week 21 at least, because that is in the past and that's something that I can talk about. So let's just do that first, and then we'll go through more what's going to happen later in the video. But yeah, Game Week 21 was, like I said, pretty special game week with two weekends worth of matches, which is kind of a new thing. We always tried to have this winter break before, but we have never really managed to get it going properly because there's always been World Cup, COVID. A lot of stuff has been getting into the way of the 2-week break sort of thing. Or at least 1 week break, winter break in January for the Premier League teams, but we got that now. But starting off the game week, we had a pretty good result for me with my captaincy choice with Palmer. He got 10 points, scored the only goal for Chelsea, and ended up with 20 points as my captain. Pretty happy about that, especially seeing Saka blank just a day after, I think, when Arsenal won 5-0 against Crystal Palace, and Saka still did manage to get on the score sheet. So pretty happy with that decision. I chose Palmer because mostly it's down to the fact that I benched him in Game Week 20 when he got 18 points on my bench. I really wanted him to like revenge that for me, and he sort of did compared to Saka. But there's obviously a different captaincy choice or different transfer I could have done also that could have helped me way more than what Palmer did. But 20 points from Palmer, can't really complain as my captain. I said before Saka's game that I would not trade in captaincy from Palmer to Saka because I knew it would be hard to top 10 points. And I'm obviously still happy with that decision. But when it comes to Arsenal, it had another big hero for me in that game, and that was Gabriel Magalhaes in defense. 17 points for him, and I'm really happy about that, not only because I have him in my team, but also because I've been a staunch supporter of Gabriel throughout this whole season, basically. Well, not after the first few game weeks when he was benched, but after he came back into the starting lineup around Game Week 4 onwards, it's been pretty clear that he's been like a starting player for Arsenal. A lot of people panicked in Game Week 10 when he was benched against Sheffield United, but that was just that. He was benched because they needed him to be rested for him to be playing in the more important matches coming up. So I knew that he was going to play from that point onwards, going to be a pretty certain starter in the Arsenal squad, and I knew he also had better attacking outputs than someone like Saliba potentially, and that's what he proved this game week. 17 points from Gabriel, which is a huge swing for anyone that has him over Saliba. I know a lot of people wanted to have Saliba rather than Gabriel, but they were kind of just stuck with Gabriel after that Sheffield United match. But I didn't feel really stuck with Gabriel. I was really happy to have him, and this game proves why, because we know that he has that in him where he scores a goal, has a goal almost, but it gets credited with an assist instead, which removed Saka's assist also, which is kind of good for me, I think, in total. But Gabriel, huge plus for me. My defense in general was really good. Estepinian went 8 points, got 2 bonus points. He was subbed off after 74 minutes. Or something like that for Brighton, and once again he looked really good, playing in sort of like a left centre-back role, so it's not quite as attacking as it was earlier in the season, but that means he has more potential for bonus points. It also means that he's getting a better chance of clean sheet as well, because Brighton have been a lot better with Estepinian back in the fold defensively. So Estepinian just continues to prove why he's such a fantastic player and why he was severely underpriced at 5.0 at the start of the season. Like I said before the start of the season that he was one of my favorite, if not my favorite prospect this whole season, and he's proving that now that he's back into the fold as well. Also taking some set pieces, which is really encouraging from Estepinian, so 8 points from him. Gusto had 5 points, but that was not an impressive 5 points from Gusto, because he easily could have been sent off. He probably should have been sent off in the game against Fulham as well. For Chelsea, really nasty tackle he had. But he managed to escape with just the yellow card, and he also managed to escape with a clean sheet as well. So that meant that they got 5 points, which was something that I was really happy with in general in that game. Gusto 5 points, Palmer 10 points, ×2 for me in that game was really, really good for me. So my defense really stepped up, and Palmer really stepped up. But that's pretty much, and Gabriel's part of the defense. But other than that, it was pretty damn bad in terms of offensive players. Saka obviously didn't really mind him blanking because he wasn't my captain, so I actually earned a rank from him not doing that well, so I was happy about that. Foden only 2 points, kind of disappointing, but at the same time, people discount this, but he had a ball in the box basically ready to shoot, but the pass was a slightly bit behind him, so it didn't manage to get the shot off. That would have been a huge chance, or that would have been potentially a goal as well, obviously, but his stats, underlying numbers, his goal potential as well, his bonus potential, everything would have gone up if he had just gotten that pass directly to his legs rather than slightly behind him. So I still think Foden is a great option. He's going to be in those really dangerous positions. He's been fantastic lately, and I don't think he's going to be dropped. So no worries about Foden here at all. I'm still having a lot of faith in Foden in general. Garnacho was my transfer in for Bowen, and this was mostly down to a cost-cutting move because I really wanted to be able to get both Haaland and Salah and keep Trent as well at the same time, and have Saka, Watkins, those type of guys, and potentially even get De Bruyne if I had to downgrade or upgrade Saka to De Bruyne and downgrade Watkins to someone else. But now it's looking more likely that Salah is potentially not going to be the best option. Maybe he's going to be out for a longer time. I still don't know yet. I still think there is a slight chance that he's going to be back for Game Week 24, which would be a fantastic game week for him at home to Burnley, which we'll get to in the upcoming plan section. But that's basically why I did Bowen to Garnacho. I didn't think Bowen would start for once, or number one, I didn't think Bowen would start. I thought he was going to be out for the Sheffield United game in total, in general. He was surprisingly back in the lineup, but he's still blanked, so I didn't really lose any points from that. But if you watched my content last week, or 2 weeks ago, I guess now, before Game Week 21, you could actually see on my transfer plans for Game Week 21 that one of my potential transfers was doing Bowen to Jota. And yeah, kind of mad that I didn't do that now, or not mad, but kind of like disappointing that I didn't do that, but it was basically just for flexibility's sake, and also just Jota, his viability if Saka is, or if Salah is back, is probably not as high because we know Darwin is going to play most matches, Salah is going to play most matches, and then you have Diaz, Gakpo, Szoboszlai is going to come back into the fold. Harvey Elliott has been playing a lot for Liverpool in general. Curtis Jones, they have a lot of players, McAllister, a lot of players in those attacking positions. So I wasn't sure about Jota, but now obviously he scored 2 goals, had an assist, 19 points from him, which would have been amazing to have, especially as a captaincy choice. If I could have done that, if I had the foresight to do that, I would have done so well this game week in general. So yeah, kind of annoyed that I did that, but at the same time, I don't know, I just had a good feeling about Garnacho. It didn't end up being that good because he only got 2 points. He blanked, obviously. He should have had an assist though towards the end of the match, had a really nice cross for McTominay, but in general in that game, he just had a really hard time getting past Udogie and Van de Ven, who I think are 2 absolutely brilliant defenders for Spurs. So I didn't expect Van de Ven to be back. I didn't expect Romero to be back, so it was kind of a tougher game for Garnacho than I did expect. So that's kind of the drawbacks of having that long game week where we didn't really know what to expect a week from now, because I didn't really expect those players to be back for Spurs. So I thought that was going to be a better match for Garnacho, but Garnacho is just a cheap option to basically serve his purpose when he plays and be a decent option when he plays, and then also someone that I can easily bench, which is going to be handy potentially next week as well, as we'll get into. As far as the strikers go, Watkins blanked against Everton, which is a tough game to be fair. Away to Everton is a really tough game to score in, so I don't really have too many faults with Watkins for that, but he has struggled a bit for a while now. I do think that's down to him having really tough fixtures as well. He's had to face Liverpool, City, Everton away, which is a tough fixture as well, defensively or offensively for Watkins. So I think that's sort of what has or has made us be a bit let down with Watkins lately. But he is still someone that I still want to keep, especially for next week. We'll get to that pretty soon. But my patience with him is running a bit thin as well. He is someone that I could potentially sell at some point. But yeah, I'm kind of reluctant to do that because I think Aston Villa also have a good chance of playing in Game Week 29 as well, which would be a real benefit as well going forward. But yeah, a lot of different thoughts of Watkins, but we'll get more into that in the plans as well. Solanke, again, disappointing from him. He was really good in the Spurs game in terms of getting chances, but didn't really score. Now against Liverpool at home, I thought they were going to have a good chance because Liverpool were lacking Alexander-Arnold, they were lacking Salah, who are on my bench. And I was expecting Bournemouth to do like decently in that game potentially. Maybe Solanke could get a goal, a cheeky goal, but yeah, he didn't really get any chances either, which is kind of disappointing. But he has really good matches going forward. He has that looming double game week with Luton at some point of this season. I don't really know. And he's still like a serviceable player at worst. So again, Solanke is someone that I don't really want to sell, but he's someone that I might sell, especially for Game Week 25. I might do like this quick swap to do Solanke to Darwin for 1 week and then switch back again to Solanke after that. That's something that I am considering. But for now, especially for the next 3 matches, I think Bournemouth have pretty easy fixtures. They have West Ham, Fulham, and some other team that is not the best. So I think Solanke is still a viable option going forward, but he's also someone like Watkins that I am I don't know. I'm not sure if either of them are going to make the weekly wildcard draft for that matter when I make that video in the next coming week. But yeah, I still think Solanke and Watkins are decent holds, but I'm not 100% sold on them. I certainly wouldn't buy them at this point, but yeah, I think they're decent players. Alvarez is the one that I kind of want to get rid of if Haaland is back and if De Bruyne is back and sort of fit to play 60 plus minutes soon. Then I think Alvarez is going to struggle a lot in FPL. Even still, when he's playing now as a striker, pretty much 90 minutes per game, he isn't really producing that much. And I was really high on Alvarez early on in the season. I was one of the first adopters of Alvarez, brought him in Game Week 3. But I think lately, the past like 10, 12 game weeks, he's just been really disappointing in general. So still a bit mad that I didn't have Tony in that spot for Alvarez. And I have Tony as captain this week. It's something that I could have done, but obviously Palmer was a better captaincy choice than Tony in the end. But yeah, I would have had those 18 points from Palmer in Game 20 as well if I had done that. But either way, Alvarez is the one that I really want to sell for Haaland when that is available to me, and that's what we're going to talk about in the next section pretty soon. When it comes to my bench, Dubravka with 3 points. He was really close actually. If he had one more save, he would have had, I think, 2 bonus points more and a save point as well. So I think he was like 1 save away from getting 6 points. Which would have been annoying to have on my bench with Areola getting only 3 points in goal. But still, Dubravka and Areola, I still have a lot of faith in them. They both got 3 points, even though they both conceded. So yeah, I still think they are really cheap and really good goalkeeper rotation, a really good goalkeeper rotation pair. I think a lot of people just lucked out having Areola and Dubravka when they didn't really want them, but I still think they are the best goalkeepers going forward in FPL, basically. So pretty happy about those guys. Branthwaite with another clean sheet. I mentioned that Everton away is a tough fixture for Watkins, and Branthwaite is one of the reasons for that. He's just a terrific defender. Got 6 points. I could have easily just done no transfers and hoped that Bowen would be benched and then had Branthwaite come on, but either way, Bowen ended up with 2 points now, so that wouldn't have been an option either. So yeah, the 6 points are just going to happen on the bench for Branthwaite, but luckily for me, not that many people own Branthwaite or Everton defenders in general, so it doesn't really matter that much. And obviously, the 2 Liverpool boys don't really have anything to say for Game 21. Trent was out injured, and Salah technically was out injured in the end in 21, but he was also out for AFCON reasons. You know, he got injured in AFCON before the fixture for Liverpool, and now there's a whole thing with Salah and his potential injury, Egypt potentially going through in the African Cup of Nations, because now it's looking like they have a pretty decent round of 16 opponent, and then or like a favorable matchup in the round of 16 and African Cup of Nations, and then they have either Equatorial Guinea or Guinea in the quarterfinals. So I think Egypt's route to the semifinal, which is the point where you play all the way up until the final week, or February 10th, February 11th for Egypt. It seems like that's in play for Egypt now. And if that's the case, then Salah won't be back for Game 24, especially, which is where I really want to have him against Burnley at home, where he would be the best captaincy option. But even still, even if Egypt go out, there still might be the case that Salah is out injured, because he had to be subbed off in their second game in the group stage against Ghana. And now it seems like apparently the injury is more severe than they first thought. I do still think it's kind of more backlash from just Egypt, or Egyptian people in general, pretty unhappy with Salah and the fact that he was going to go back to Liverpool rather than staying with the squad in the African Cup of Nations. So I think that's sort of like PR buying him more time. Maybe that injury, I don't know. That's just me purely speculating at this point, but I wouldn't put it past them. If Egypt go out early, I wouldn't really be that surprised if there's like murmurs and rumors about Salah being soon ready to play and being back healthy for Game Week 24 when they play Burnley at home, and then having the double game week in Game Week 25 where they have 2 really good matches as well. So Salah is going to be a tough sell for me, but he's probably going to be someone that I have to sell especially depending on what happens in the round of 16 for Egypt, because that's also going to happen before the deadline for next game week. But let's go into my current team for Game 22 and my current transfer plans as well, as we stand now on the 24th of January, which is still a week away just about from the deadline for Game Week 22. So this is my Game Week 22 team, and luckily for me, Trent Alexander-Arnold seems to be back healthy. He's probably going to play, or potentially going to play, for Liverpool already now against Chelsea in Game Week 22. But even still, if he doesn't play that game, I still have Brantford coming in against Fulham away, which is still a decent fixture for me. So I'm not that worried about Trent in general. If he starts, fantastic. If it doesn't, I get Brantford in. So either way, I'm going to be in a pretty decent position. Estepinian, as always, really good option. Luton away should be a decent fixture for him. Areola against Bournemouth at home, not the best fixture, but still could keep a clean sheet there, West Ham. You never know. Gabriel against Nottingham Forest away. I think Gabriel is going to be fine to play, and Nottingham Forest are a team that conceded a lot of chances or a lot of goals even from set pieces, so it could be another monster haul for Gabriel. Pretty scary times if you don't have Gabriel right now, because yeah, he's looking pretty good. Palmer against Liverpool away. Not going to bench him ever again, so he's just an easy start for me, even though Liverpool away is a really tough fixture. Saka against Nottingham Forest away. Nottingham Forest are conceding and scoring a lot of goals lately, so I think this is going to be a pretty high-scoring match in general. So I think Saka has a decent chance of returning in this game. He's a decent option to play in this, or to get some points at least. But we know he's pretty bad away. We know he's been pretty stinky in FPL in general lately, so this might be the last chance for Saka to impress for me, basically. Foden against Burnley at home, really happy about him. I might even captain him. I am unsure about whether I want to captain him or someone else. As you can see, my captaincy is currently on a different player, but Foden is definitely in consideration for captaincy as well. Then we have Garnacho against Wolves away. Again, like I said with Garnacho, he's like a serviceable player. He could score a goal or get an assist against Wolves. He could not. He's someone that I could easily bench. He's someone that I could easily start. So not really too fussed with Garnacho. But as we see with my transfer plans, it is a pretty easy decision to bench him if I do some of my transfers here. Either way, let's move on to my potential captaincy choice, which would be kind of controversial, and that is potentially Ollie Watkins against Newcastle at home. I know Watkins has been really not that good lately, but like I said, I think that's down to him playing really tough opponents. If you look back at last season when Newcastle were really good defensively, they have not been really good defensively lately, so I think they're still there for the taking. They conceded 3 goals against City as well this time around, and conceded 3 XG in total in that match as well. I still think Newcastle is a team to target, like defensively for Newcastle, offensively for Watkins. And also last season when Newcastle were a much better defense than they are currently looking, Watkins had a monster haul against Newcastle, so I still think he could score a lot of goals in that game. I think also from their opening game of the season, even though it was 5-1 for Newcastle in that game, I think it was a really open game where Aston Villa looked actually really good. I think it was actually Sir Alex Ferguson who said after that game that I expected good things from Aston Villa this season, even though they had just lost 5-1. And yeah, he was really on the money with that prediction. And I think this could be another open game where he could get some chances to score, Watkins. So I might actually captain him as like a nice differential guy, because I don't think there's like a standout pick if the big boys or Haaland or potentially De Bruyne are not back fully fit and ready to start this game week. So I think Watkins as a captaincy shout is kind of out there, but I think it's also has some merit to it. So I might go with that, but I'm also kind of favorable to Foden, and I think Foden is going to be like the de facto captaincy choice for a lot of people if Haaland is not back fit and if De Bruyne is not back ready to start either. Solanke against West Ham away. Decent fixture, I think, for Solanke. West Ham are not the best defensively, even though we had, I say we as a West Ham fan, even though West Ham had 4 games in a row with a clean sheet. Not too long ago, they did concede twice to Sheffield United, which is a pretty weak sign when it comes to defensive matters. So I think that's a decent chance for Solanke as well. Maybe like sort of last chance saloon for Solanke soon as well. This is one of the games that he could impress him, but hopefully as a West Ham fan he doesn't score and Areola gets a clean sheet instead. But I still think Solanke is a decent player to play this game week. But I could also see if you have rather than Garnacho, you have someone like Jota rather than Garnacho, and you have to bench someone for De Bruyne or something that you're bringing for Salah. I think Solanke is potentially who I would bench after Garnacho in this team. I don't think I would bench Palmer. Like I said, Watkins, I expect pretty good things from him. Alvarez potentially, if there's like murmurs about Haaland being back, maybe starting, maybe not starting, but at least being in the squad, and De Bruyne being back, ready to play, maybe Alvarez would be someone that I would bench. But then against Burnley at home, I still think he's a good option. So currently starting Alvarez as well. I think he's a decent option if Haaland is not back ready to start. If Haaland's back ready to start, I think Alvarez might be rested or benched for this game. So I think he would be someone that I have to transfer out. But yeah, that's pretty much my team. And then when it comes to my bench, Dubravka against Aston Villa away, I don't really think he has a better chance of a clean sheet than Areola, so I think I'm going to keep him on the bench. Branthwaite against Fulham away, I think that's a decent fixture. Gusto against Liverpool away, no way I'm going to start him, even though Gusto, to be fair, has looked quite attacking for Chelsea at least. That's one of my silver linings with him, but he's also someone that I would potentially like to sell in the future. I'm trying to look into ways of doing Gusto to Walker and having money in the bank to do that, so that might be my course of action in the coming weeks at some point. Salah as well. Just end it with there. He is also the main man when it comes to the potential transfers. I think, like I said, if Egypt go through in the round of 16 before the deadline for game 22, I think I just have to sell Salah, because I think at that point Egypt will have a decent chance of going and reaching the semi-final and then subsequently either the bronze final or the final of the African Cup of Nations. And at that point Salah would not be able to play game 24 most likely, or pretty much either way. And that's on top of the fact that he might be injured as well. So selling Salah is a distinct possibility this week. Even though I'm really reluctant to do that, I think he's still, the last remaining player that I've had from Game Week 1 up until this point. I think, yeah, every single other player in my squad I have brought in at some point during the season. Salah has been with me since Game Week 1. That means I have a lot of value tied up into him as well, because I brought him at 12.5 and now he's 13.1. My selling price would be 12.8. And yes, he would actually drop a lot in price the next few game weeks, I think. So I might recoup that selling price. If I do sell him for 12.8 now, he might go down to like 12.9, 13.0 at least. Maybe even 12.8. Maybe I'll be able to buy him back for the same price. But if he's back ready to play for game 25, I really want to have him in my squad. So I don't really want to lose the value that I have in Salah. But seeing as a lot of people will sell Salah now, most likely, maybe he drops down in value. So I'm probably looking to sell Salah, but it's no huge issue for me. I think my starting 11 is still pretty good, even with Salah for another week. If I have to do that, especially if Egypt get knocked out, I could buy myself another week of Salah and seeing how his injury news progresses. If there's some new news that he might be back earlier than expected, if he might be back for game 24. So I might still keep him at that point. And at that point, I would just basically stick with my current team and just have 2 free transfers for Game Week 23 instead, which I think could be really beneficial, because there are a lot of players that I'm uncertain about. Saka, Watkins, Solanke, Gusto, for example. Some of the guys that I'm currently, and Alvarez obviously, some of the guys that I'm looking to sell potentially and trying to fund either Haaland or De Bruyne or both, or however I want to do it. Either by selling Salah as well. Salah is obviously another person I could sell in Game Week 23 if I do end up keeping him for Game Week 22 as well. But yeah, there's a lot of different choices here. I think Salah to Jota is something that I would like to do, just to have Jota as like a fail-safe. I could just have Jota and then do the reverse transfer in Game Week 25 if Salah's back for that. Game Week 24 if Salah's back for that. At the same time, Jota doesn't have like the best fixtures coming up. He has Chelsea at home and then Arsenal away in the next 2 fixtures. Not the best, but I just like the safety of having Jota in case Salah is not back for Game Week 24 and 25. I think Jota could be a really good captaincy option in 24 against Burnley at home. So yeah, I think I just want to have him for that reason. If there are news that De Bruyne is going to be like pretty close to being able to play 60 plus minutes, I think he's just a fantastic pick as well against Burnley at home. I think I would have to potentially do that transfer if there are like news or even leaks that De Bruyne is going to start in that game. I think Salah to De Bruyne would be the move, and that would still leave me enough money for me to do Alvarez to Haaland, which is what I really want to do. Currently, with the 1 free transfer, I have the money to do Watkins to Haaland, but like I just mentioned, I have Watkins as my current captain, so I don't really feel good about selling Watkins even to get Haaland against Burnley at home. But obviously, if Haaland is back ready to play and ready to start against Burnley at home, I would have to bring him in and captain him. So I would have to do that transfer. But I think instead of just doing Watkins to Haaland, I would rather do a -4 hit and bring in someone like Jota or KDB to start over Garnacho and then have Haaland on top of that rather than Alvarez. So yeah, those are some of my current thoughts, but I'm going to go more deep into my Game Week 22 plans when it comes to my team selection video, which is going to be coming out on Tuesday next week before the deadline comes up. Monday, I'm going to also release the latest FPL Scope podcast with Kevin as well. We're going to record that on Sunday night when we'll have more information. So yeah, there's a lot of things that's going to happen between now and that point, because we're going to have all the FA Cup fixtures. We're going to have the FA Cup draw on Monday as well, which is going to solve a lot of things for the future. We're going to have the double game weeks confirmed, the blank game weeks confirmed, blank 29 not confirmed, but we're going to have a pretty strong indication of which teams are going to blank in 29. I still have the option of potentially free hitting in game week 26 or 25, potentially to have the best possible team for game week 25 and 26. I still haven't taken that out of the equation entirely, but if Haaland is like ready to play game week 25 and Salah's ready to play game week 25, I don't know if Haaland's ready to play especially and not Salah, then triple captaining Haaland would be really tempting, and I obviously can't triple captain if I free it in 25. So, but yeah, that's still something that I have to look into, and look into my squad potential in game 29, for example, if depending on what happens with the FA Cup draw. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to happen between now and the team selection video. So stand pat for those videos. In general, pretty happy with the season. I haven't touched on my overall points and stuff. Had a green arrow this past game week, gone from 65k to 55k. Obviously, it could have been even better if I'd done a couple more changes or a couple different changes lately. I could have been like around the top 10k now, I think, if I had Palmer in that game week 20 fixture, and then especially Jota now in this past fixture. But again, this is hindsight, and we can't really talk that much about it, even though prior to these game weeks, or those game weeks, I did mention that I didn't really like the thought of benching Palmer in game 20, and I also really liked the thought of bringing in Jota for game 21, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. I didn't do it. I didn't back myself with those thoughts, so yeah, I can only basically moan about not getting the points, I guess. But 55k in general, I'm pretty happy about that. 31 points behind the top 10k, which is my goal for the season, being in the top 10k, potentially even higher. I think we'll see about where I end up this season. But yeah, 1,275 points so far. Pretty happy about that. I have a lot of flexibility with my team, a lot of things that I can do with my team as well. So going to be an interesting few weeks coming up for sure. But either way, that has been it for me this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.